Welcome to Girl Talk with Mary Badami.
Good morning. This is Mary Badami for Tempo. This week, some random thoughts from the beauty parlor. Thought number 1. Why don't they call it the ugly parlor? Just look around you the next time you're there. There's practically nothing beautiful about anyone during a so-called beauty parlor appointment, except possibly for the last 2 or 3 minutes when you're all combed out, pay, tip, and walk out the door. Think about it. First, they wash your hair. Now, wetting your hair is flattering to almost no one, with the possible exception of Mary Martin in South Pacific, or the girl on TV who takes a shower every hour, or a polar bear. Then they roll your hair in curlers. As our commanding officers are fond of reminding us, women in curlers seldom look good, and are usually not welcome at movies, PXs, or downtown in German cities. What makes it all the worse is that the light in the beauty parlor is usually very bright, and they sit you down in front of a mirror. With no pretty headscarves to cover the mess, you can't help seeing how awful you look. As for teasing your hair, there's very little beautiful about the early stages. Your hair literally sticks out straight and fuzzy from your head. All in all, you may walk out looking beautiful, but you've spent most of your time looking exceptionally ugly. Thought number 2. It takes a child to show you how funny you really look. I went last week to have my hair frosted. That's when you add lighter blonde streaks to my middle brown hair. I was so absorbed in having the thing done that the humor of the situation didn't hit me till I got home, when my son asked me, how did they do it? In the process of explaining how you get some strands light while others stay dark, I created pandemonium at the family dinner table. For the male listeners in the audience, and I've discovered lately there are quite a few, and for the ladies who've never tried it themselves, first, the girl put what looks like a blue bathing cap all over my head. It has no chin straps, but it does have holes, perhaps 30 or more holes, punched all over its surface. Next, the beautician took a hairpin and began to pull strands of hair out through the holes. At other times I've had it done with a crochet hook. That can take quite a long time with shoulder-length hair like mine, and it hurts. At the end of this stage, the mirror clearly showed somebody wearing a blue bathing cap with 30 or so strands of hair sticking straight out of her head. Then the girl took the bleaching solution, which resembled purple whipped cream, and smeared it all over those strands of hair. At this point in the description, my son could hardly sit still from laughing. Then I explained she wrapped my head in a gigantic piece of white paper. It crackled. Then she wrapped a towel around that and stuck me under a dryer for some minutes. Well, the children could hardly believe it, and they asked if there were any other way to do it. Yes, I began to reply, but it involves wrapping individual pieces of hair in silver foil. My kids are still laughing about that one. Thought number 3. Have you ever noticed how many of the allegedly fashionable things are extremely uncomfortable? For instance, I own 2 capes. One is a heavy winter one, and one is a summer rain cape out of slicker-type material. It was only after I bought them that I discovered it is quite impossible to drive in a cape, particularly if you believe the National Safety Council and buckle up for safety. Anyone who's worn a maxi coat in a high wind, tried to keep up a pair of above-the-knee boots, or had her hair teased by an enthusiastic operator in the beauty parlor knows exactly what I mean. Thought number 4. Have you ever noticed how much a beauty parlor resembles a hospital? You get an appointment. You enter a world filled with equipment and special smells. You lean back and let yourself be handled by others. In a sense, you lose control over the outcome. You often submit to discomfort, allegedly for a greater good. You are wrapped in special towels or gowns or capes, and you sometimes read some very old magazines. It depends on the management, of course. At some beauty parlors, you have the treat of 2-year-old issues of fashion magazines. I wonder if there's anything more ancient than a 2-year-old fashion tip. 1 week ago at the hospital, while waiting for a prescription, I had the similar thrill of being offered Time magazine for August 8th and November 21st, 1969, or U.S. News and World Report for October 20th, November 3rd and 10th, December 1st and 8th, 1969. Things are tough all over, At the consulate recently, I was offered a choice of several issues of Reader's Digest, all of them at least 3 years old. Unlike fine wines, they don't improve with age. The only other reading matter was a sign warning me that if I'm traveling in Europe and dealing in marijuana, LSD, heroin, and other drugs, I will be subject to the laws of the local countries, most of them much stricter than U.S. laws, and that the consulate can do very little for me in such a predicament. I settled for reading the Reader's Digest. Thought number 5. Do you find, as I do, that the beauty parlor is an oasis of peace? For at least a half hour, I can hide under the dryer, not feel any obligation to be anywhere else or do anything else. The noise of the dryer insulates me from outside noises and distractions. I don't have to talk to anybody because it's not possible. In fact, the notes for this show were jotted on some pieces of paper while I was under the dryer. I got almost halfway through before it lulled me to sleep. Next week, let's talk about schedules. This is Mary Badami in Munich, in tempo.
Thank you, Mary. And the next time you go to have your hair frosted, how about giving us a little advance notice up here? There are a couple of us who would like to buy tickets for the performance.